Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm John Barbin. With me is Jeff Dover, and we're talking football.
We're a couple of football fans that watch college, the NFL. We hope to earn your like and subscribe today. This is our discussion on the Dexter Lawrence trade demand. What are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts is, man, do we ever have nothing to talk about in the offseason?
It's exactly like this wouldn't have been first banner like ESPN headline news in many other parts of the season.
But right now, it's everyone's got to talk about something.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I guess it was a little bit of a surprise. My New York Giants insider, I asked her what what's the sentiment? She's like, blindsided. No one saw this coming. But then I see these reports saying he's been really wanting an extension for the past year.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's not surprising to management that kind of knew there must have been some tension rising here. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's always a little shocking when a really good player demands a trade. It doesn't happen too often. A lot of times in the NFL, they're really not in a position to demand a trade, like just the nature of the game, not like other sports. Like in NBA, you're sort of at the mercy of wherever the player wants to play for your team or not. And it's not like that in the NFL. So it is a bit unusual. It's a bit unusual to have a D tackle. I don't remember the last time I remember a defensive tackle demanding a trade, so it is a bit unique in that case when you look at it that way.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was trying to read some articles to get a little caught up here. Last year, I guess statistically was not one of his best years, given the years he had previously. But D tackles don't pile up the stat sheet, right? It's not like
but that was sort of what made him unique, because he'd get a good number of tackles and would get some sacks, which is,
right.
I think you would argue that he's a premier D tackle in the NFL.
Yeah, and I think more importantly, linemen around the NFL would argue that.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
piling up the stat sheet or not. And to your point, that's what made him special, is he could actually get to the passer, which D tackles rarely record any significant number of sacks. So yeah, he's one of the better ones for sure. And, statistics not, so what? He didn't fill up the stat sheet last year. He's still 29 years old, 28 going on 29. That's still prime.
Yep.
And I guess he got injured a little bit last year. I guess there was some controversy that he play as many snaps as you would hope, but I don't think that's an indication that his production has dropped off. It's, I mean, let's put this in context. We're talking about a terrible defense, right?
Yes.
So I got the stats here. Where are we here? They were sixth or seventh worst in total points. They were bottom 5 in total yards or yards per game. But the worst stat of all is they were second worst in the league in rushing yards per game given up.
Mm-hmm.
So from my understanding, you anchor a good run defense with your defensive line interior. So I'm not putting it all at his feet, but obviously this defense couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. So there's two ways to see that. You really need to keep him because he has shown he can be dominant, or it's just been proven that with him on the team, you can't stop anything. So what difference does it make if he leaves? I could see the argument going both ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to follow up your point about the stats for him specifically. So since 2019, he's played for 5 years in a row. He played 16 games a year. He had 7.5 sacks. 2022, he had 9 sacks in 2024. And 50 to anywhere from 50 to 60 tackles. Now in 2024, he played 12 games, so he missed a bit of time there. Still had 9 sacks that year. And then last year played in all 17 games. He had half a sack, so a little bit less production and a little bit less, like maybe not as many snaps, like you said, because he was only at 31 total tackles, but still really good. Yeah. But was on a team that maybe, didn't have it on offense as much. It wasn't a great team. Like, they lost a lot of games, and you're playing from behind a lot. The defense is on the field a lot. And so, yeah, I think in terms of, to echo what your insider said, if you're a New York Giants fan, you're devastated because your team's not that good and he's one of the best players and he wants out. So that wouldn't be good if this is one of the few bright spots you had on the team and you're losing them.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure Harbaugh didn't expect to start his tenure with this.
No.
The very first thing is one of your best players is demanding a trade. And last year they were making moves to improve the defense. They added Carter, and
Hmm.
at whatever point they added Burns. So that was starting to look like, man, this is going to be a great defensive line. Now Burns produced, but um, you know, the defense overall couldn't do anything. So it's how far away are they? Is maybe you can get some pieces for him, and maybe it actually is part of a rebuilding thing. Dart looks like he's the future.
Hmm.
Neighbors, if he comes back full strength, that's a true number one. Scattaboo, if he comes back full strength, that looks like he's a legit running back. So on the offensive side, you already have some of the younger future pieces. So
Yeah.
is it, I don't know, maybe Joe Shane's looking at it going, well, Lawrence is at the end of his prime. We might only get 2-3 more good years out of him. Maybe right now we trade for more youth and just build up youth or something. And, like the windows don't add up, like Jackson, the whole thing revolves around the QB. So now that you think
Yeah.
you have your franchise QB, how many years until you're competitive? Is Lawrence still good enough when Dart and Neighbors and all of that becomes the new thing?
Right. No,
Or,
I agree
you
with
know,
you. I mean, what I feel like I hear you saying is that it didn't feel like the Giants they're not as far away as like the Raiders or something, for example. Like I think they could be like a few pieces away from being competitive or, making the playoffs or something like that. And so that's why it's devastating if you're a fan if you lose a player like this, because that is a huge piece that you'd be losing from a team that was, felt like it was getting better and might have had their QB in place. So, and this brings up another thing for me, like we've talked about this before on this program about contracts, when you sign a contract, and what does it mean? And then, but now you have to renegotiate it. It doesn't like the number anymore.
mhm.
Like, is this something, and this would be really challenging to deal with as you're the owner, because you're like, all right, we signed this guy, a couple of years ago when that amount was good, and then he doesn't feel like it is anymore, and it's just really frustrating because it's I don't know how often it goes the other way either, right? When you're in a contract and they're like, well, now you're not playing as well, so now we want to give you less money. Like it's a
Well,
really
that never happens.
it's
It
a,
seems the power has shifted to the players where they're constantly asking for renegotiation because a couple of years later, the market gets reset because the salary cap goes up. And I don't know. I guess these agents just know how to, it seems like the contract's not even worth the paper it's written on anymore
yeah.
because,
That's what
well,
it feels as a fan. That's what it feels like. Like it's always contract disputes.
yeah. So it's just too, I don't know. It's just the era we're in now, right? So the cap
Yeah.
just went up again. So I suppose after other people have signed more recently than him for more money, but then I suppose his agent can point at his production, even if last season wasn't great. They could say, well, you know what, he's still top five, but he's not getting paid top five money, and this is his last chance probably at a big re-signing. So because what is his contract, 2 more years? So if he plays two
Yeah.
more years, getting paid what he's getting paid, then at 31, kind of like he'll be. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of like the Trey Hendrickson thing because wasn't
Yep.
he 30 going on 31 last year
Yeah.
when he, but so who knows? I guess get your money when you can, I guess, is the players and agent standpoint.
Yeah.
And I guess my final thought here for him is it purely just the money and he doesn't care who he plays for, or does he want a legit shot at a Super Bowl?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, it'll be interesting. We'd learn that based on where he goes and for how much, right? Because if he's got a contract for another 2 years, he's going to go to another team, and then we're assuming that they're going to immediately sign him to a longer term deal, right? Like that would you feel like that would have to be part of it. But yeah, I think you're right about the timing in terms of his age, because you're not going to get as a long term or as much money as you would like at age 30 versus 28, right? And especially at that position. So you're right. And so if you're the agent, you'd be like, now is the time to ask for the more money at this point. I also thought the timing was interesting before the draft, right? Because now if you wanted to talk trade with a team, or like throwing in picks are still available at this point, right? So that at least they did it before, at this point before the draft, which will give them an option. But I still think that, okay, so then let's switch to where do you think he's going to end up, and what would be the best fit?
Is this assuming the Giants don't do what it takes to keep him?
No, I mean, I think that that's absolutely on the table. Like, I think that, so he's making 22 or so million now, and the best tackle is making like 32 or 34 or something like
Mhm.
that. And so
It's a pretty
how
big
much
gap because he's pretty good.
yeah, and but I mean, how much more would it take? Like another 4 million potentially or 6 or something like would to bring it to a number that would make it more reasonable? I don't know. But
Yeah,
it's the
and as of time of recording, not enough information has come out that we've at least seen. Is this, is this relationship absolutely soured and fractured behind the scenes where the Giants aren't even on the table, or is this a
right.
pressure tactic to try to? Is he happy to stay just with more money? Is that really what's going on here, or is this a no? I'm just refused to play here thing. So we haven't.
Right.
If that's going on, it hasn't come out in an article we've managed to see yet. So
No. And it'd be interesting to see what other teams come up with, right? Because
eh,
if other teams like don't come up with much, then I don't know what the Giants do at that point, right? So it's
all of a
yeah,
sudden they have the leverage.
I
Then
don't
you
know.
mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just it, right? Then you just say like, okay, we've got you under contract for 2 years, and it wouldn't benefit anyone for you to sit out, and so I don't know, but that'd be
Mm.
tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really is. Is he willing to go for more money to another team that's in the middle of a rebuild, like the Raiders or something?
Yeah,
Like, is that
yeah, yeah.
if it's just purely money, there's teams that are rebuilding that probably can have cap space, like the Titans apparently have
Yep.
a lot of cap space. There's different and I know fan bases on some of the blog posts, or not blog posts, Jesus, dating myself, eh? On some of the YouTube videos, they're like, oh, we'll take him here, we'll take him here. So various teams can picture plugging him in and going on a Super Bowl run just by plugging him into a gap that they need. Imagine he goes to the Eagles and they go on another run, like
Oh,
it's
I know.
Barkley all over again.
That'd be ridiculous. Yeah.
I mean, I haven't even seen that on any list, but just imagine he gets traded in the division and it's Shane looking around going, "Oh god, I did it again. Like I let a
Mhm.
guy go and now he's going on a run against us." So, I mean, I've seen the Jaguars as a potential landing spot. Now
That's an interesting one.
that's not a rebuild. They're on the doorstep given how they performed last year. They
Yeah.
can definitely go on a for real run. I've seen the Patriots,
Mhm.
um, which their defense is already good, but
Really good.
I've seen the
Yeah.
Niners. They need a lot of help on the line. I don't know if they have cap space for it. So, I mean, I guess half the teams in the league. Okay, let's say it the other way
That's the
around.
crazy part though. Like that to me, just to talk about that for a second, Jacksonville and New England have a really good defense right now, right? So that is would be I feel like a pretty big addition, for those teams. And just make it more formidable. Like that's pretty
Yeah,
impressive. Like the Bears I've also seen on that list, their defense isn't very good. And the Ravens, their defenses now needs to be improved and stuff. So that it's a
yeah,
bit different feel for that. But man, New England, it just feels like that'd be not fair.
yeah. So I guess it all depends on who wants to
And the
spend them.
Chargers, the Chargers are on that list too. And they were really
That's a
good
good defense
defense too.
too.
Really good defense.
But
Yeah.
I think okay, even though we're saying that as of 2025 defenses, players have already been moving around a bit. So those defenses all don't look exactly the same as of
True.
time of recording. So
Yeah.
there's probably some personnel personnel has changed, cap space might have changed. So some of these defenses already don't look the same as how they finished the season. But
Hmm.
I mean, I guess it all comes down to what he's willing to accept as a number and
Well,
what
that's the part yeah,
yeah.
that's the part that's interesting because, again, he's under contract for 2 years, so if he gets traded, technically, he's under that contract for the next 2 years, so, like, it would have to be part of the negotiation, is that, like, he gets traded somewhere where there's gonna be a contract extension because that's what it makes it sound like that's the main concern right now.
Right, and then the extension changes the average yearly value, so it
Yeah.
goes sort of looks like it goes up, but it might not technically go up this year. I don't know.
Hmm.
And then what can other teams compensate the Giants?
Yep.
Like, are they gonna? What do you think they need to get back for him? What do you think he's
Yeah.
worth at this point? If they're losing a key interior defensive lineman,
The trades are always tough for me in the NFL because it always seems like one team gets an amazing player for not much back in return. And I don't know if it's because of the contract amount or whatever, but it always seems like this player goes for like a fourth round draft pick or something, like it's always doesn't seem like that much in return. So I'd be surprised if it's more than like a player in a second round draft pick for something like this.
yeah, I guess it's partly because of his age.
Yeah,
So
and it's just the way that yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's interesting. There's not much to talk about, but that's the kind of the big news right now. We'll see where he lands, and
Yeah.
my guess it's going to have to happen before the draft if it's not just him staying with the Giants.
Right. Yeah, I think if you're a Giants fan, you desperately want him to stay and have them sorted out. If you're a fan of basically any other team in the NFL, you'd be excited if he was on your team because he's an
Yeah,
amazing defensive tackle, and
yeah,
it's a really important. It's tough because we always talking about the importance of quarterback and the importance of like edge rusher and left tackle, and you can make a case for pretty much any position, but when you're a premier player at any position, you can
hmm
make a difference.
yeah.
And he's one of those at D tackle, which is why I think that people are talking about it.
And it's pretty obvious if a team's weak in the middle. Like, I mean, I've even seen
Yes.
the Texans on a list. I mean, that
Yeah.
defense was unbelievable. And now, same thing. They've had a few players on the interior that I guess they're not re-signing, so maybe they've got room for it. But imagine him on that
Oh,
team.
he's
So
super good.
obviously, a lot of teams would be happy to get him. I mean, basically every team would be happy to get him, no matter what they already have. And then the teams I would suggest with the worst run defenses are probably the ones that want him the most, sort of thing. So
Would feel like you're making a big difference if you got a guy like that,
yeah, Bengals could use him too. So I don't know. We'll see. I guess there'll be a market. It probably, my guess right now, with having no inside information, is there's enough of a market, enough interest that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the Giants, and I think he's going to get what he wants. Let's say it that way. I think Lawrence is in the driver's seat here, regardless of what his stats were last year. I think coordinators, coaches, players know how good he is, and forget last year's stats. They know how much of a problem he is. Like he said, you have to game plan around that guy still.
The Jaguars had the number one run defense in terms of yards allowed last year, so that'd be quite the pairing for someone to go there.
Well, and where were the Texans? Number 2? Like they're
Yeah,
so
4
good,
for the
right?
Texans,
So whatever.
But I
So,
mean,
I've
like it was the Jaguars gave up 1,400 yards rushing, 14.55, and Texans were like 1,500. Like they're right there.
and
So
multiple sides. I mean, it's all speculation. Who knows if any of them are actually interested? Like you said, basically every team could come up with a reason to need him or want him.
Yep.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. And man, there's just nothing to talk about. Jesus. Front and center, Dexter Lawrence and the G-men.
Thinking about if he's asking for a trade. So
Yep. That's it. That's where we're at in the offseason. That's what we've been reduced to. All right. You got anything else for this one?
No, the only other headline that I saw was that Mendoza isn't planning on attending the draft, which is somewhat interesting.
He is not?
Yes, not planning on attending the draft.
Really?
So, yeah. So that's
Wow.
moderately interesting. Like I always the worst case scenario was always when someone shows and they don't end up getting picked and they're just like they keep going back to them just sitting there in the room. We don't think that'd be the case with Fernando because he's pretty much consensus. I don't remember the last time there's been this much consensus on a number 1 pick. Like
Trevor Lawrence.
pretty much, like it's so it's but yeah, he says he wants to share the experience with his family in Miami. So
that kind of fits with his personality.
it does.
Right. So, no, well, we'll see. I mean, that's going to be, I wonder what the NFL thinks. It's not like they can force him to be there.
Yeah, no.
But for the ratings, because now they've turned into a whole ratings TV show deal. So if he goes number 1 and they have to pay, and they probably are going to want like some kind of really good footage. I don't know. Like this is weird. It's weird for someone that's.
Trevor Lawrence also didn't attend the draft.
Oh, he didn't? No, I don't
so
remember
fun.
that.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Fact about that. So
all right. Well, that's interesting. Man, that's what we're at, eh? He might not be at the draft. Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. Well, that's all I got. Is that what you got?
That's it for me.
All right. Well, thanks for watching the show. If you like what we have going on and you'd like to support us, a like and a subscribe would go a long way, and we'd super appreciate it. So for Jeff Dover, I'm John Barbin, and that's your Saturday versus Sunday podcast.